Hello folks, stable One UI 6.0 update is rolling out to more and more Samsung devices, so it's time to tell you about its new features, because this version of One UI based on Android 14 is a little more interesting than the last year's updates. Therefore guys, I urge you to share this video with your friends, especially with those who have Samsung. Perhaps they will find out something interesting from this video. Now let's begin. The first thing we notice is a drastically changed design, in a good way. In fact, nothing radical here, but there is a common underlying theme in the entire update. Samsung has reorganized the elements in the interface to make it more arranged and systematic. This is largely thanks to the new default font. The new Samsung One UI Sans typeface is rounder and broader. The same words occupy more space horizontally than earlier. As a result, the text appears shorter in height despite actually being of comparable size, making the surrounding area seem wider and more open. It adds a sense of airiness throughout the interface. The Samsung keyboard also gets redesigned emojis with One UI 6. The difference is subtle, but it's noticeable. App icon labels are now limited to a single line for a cleaner and simpler look, and Galaxy and Samsung have been removed from some app names to make them shorter and easier to scan. When you swipe back, new arrows appear in the circle, which also adds some airiness to the interface. By the way, there is a hidden trick with this gesture. Go to Settings and open Developer Options. If it is not enabled, then in the Software Information menu, tap the build number several times. After entering your phone password, the Developer Options will open. This is a menu option at the very bottom of Root Settings. Here we scroll down and find Predictive Back Animations. If you enable this option, then during a back gesture, you will see Predictive Back Animations. This is a feature of Android 14, but in Galaxy it's still in experimental mode, which is why it is in this secret menu. It seems to work only in the Settings application and not everywhere. It is a cool thing. I hope it will be added as a main feature in 6.1, but for now we can just see how it works. But be prepared for its unstable operation. Sometimes my screen blinks when this prompt is triggered. As for animations, I didn't see any big changes relative to One UI 5.1. On the contrary, it seems that the widget animation is broken. Look, on 5.1 we have this beautiful widget animation, but on 6.0 it's simply gone. Hopefully this will be fixed with the next patch. And while I was filming this video, a home screen update was released that fixes the animation of widgets and makes the icons on the main screen a little smaller. The recent apps menu has larger icons at the bottom and more predictable movements between open applications when you swipe them left and right. I like it. Now, the Quick Settings menu is where you see the biggest changes, such that you would easily confuse them for being made by different brands if you weren't already aware of the update. For the first time since the introduction of One UI, Samsung has wavered from its commitment to one-hand usage in the interface, which was maintained mainly by placing icons in the lower half. Instead, the Quick Settings on One UI 6 extend out to the top and are segmented into 4 different sections. Firstly, the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth menus now assume permanent positions at the top of the display. This new placement makes sense because we are almost always connected to devices with these services virtually all the time. Additionally, it makes it easier to switch Wi-Fi networks or Bluetooth devices simply by long pressing the icons, with a gesture now opening a small overlay window for these settings. Then we have the Quick Settings in a square-shaped card-like confinement. You can swipe right on this area to reveal other active Quick Settings styles. If you need to add new ones, you can now tap the pen-shaped edit icon on the top of this interface. Interestingly, you can now separately edit the top 6 buttons on the top of notifications or the entire list. Previously, the first 6 icons would automatically compress onto the top of the page, but you can now add different icons in both views. That is definitely one of the most compelling improvements to this section. I will also note that this seemingly empty space below is actually not empty, because if we turn on the multi-sim info in the menu, then this area will be filled. By default, a compact quick panel with notifications appears when you swipe down from the top of the screen, and if you swipe down again, the expanded quick panel shows up. But on One UI 6, you can enable the Quick Settings Instant Access option to directly go to the expanded quick panel by swiping down from the right side of the top of the screen. screen. To enable it, tap the pencil icon, select Quick Settings Instant Access and use the toggle to turn it on. Underneath the brightness slider, we now see persistent buttons for Eye Comfort Shield and Dark Theme. At the bottom there are 2 more buttons for screen mirroring and smart home controls, which again are persistent and cannot be customized. It appears the choice of these buttons is based on how frequently users engage with them, based on data sent back to Samsung as part of device diagnostics. It would be better to get customization options for these buttons and not just the quick settings ones. Notifications panel has also changed. The first few things to note are the smaller quick settings icons that are now farther apart and leave ample space in between for a cleaner look. Above these icons, the time, day and date now appear in a single line in the same text size. Below the icons now lies a persistent brightness bar, which would previously be only available by expanding quick settings completely. Coming to the notifications, each one now appears as an individual bubble instead of stack. The spacing between each notification bubble has also been increased. Another minor change is how the button for notification settings now appears on the left instead of the right previously, presumably to prevent users from accidentally tapping it instead of the clear button. One UI 6 adds an option to sort notifications by time. You can enable the option by opening the device's settings app, going into the notifications menu, tapping the sort notification option and selecting by time instead of by priority. Another significant change is the new media player. The new media controller, available in the notification area and on the lock screen, is nothing revolutionary, but it fits this era of mobile UX and One UI perfectly. It is sort of like an auto-stacking widget for the lock screen and notification area. It appears automatically when you are playing audio or video content on your phone, and if you are playing content from more than one source, all the media players stack and can be scrolled through. The controller can be resized with just a tap of a button, and it will remember the size you picked on both the lock screen and the notification area even after you lock and unlock your phone. And of course, the media controller in One UI 6.0 is interactive. You can control playback like songs and videos and drag the timeline slider. Furthermore, when using the media player on the lock screen, you get a handy media output shortcut. But perhaps the most striking thing about the new media controller in One UI 6.0 is how it looks when expanded. It shows album art, if available, and the wavy timeline is mesmerizing. Perhaps the one thing I'd like to see improved is the animation to behave more like a functional equalizer instead of showing a seemingly random animation. But still, this media player is very good. The lock screen has received very modest changes. Firstly, One UI 6 adds a widget for the Samsung SmartThings app, so you can control and view your connected devices from the lock screen. Also, One UI 6 allows you to move the clock on the lock screen to different position instead of locking it to the top center of the lock screen. Finally, you have more clock styles and clock text fonts to choose from. Like notifications on One UI 6, the Settings app also gets a visual upgrade with more space between items and submenus. In addition, the sliders throughout settings are now thicker and fit well with the overall interface. When checking a saved Wi-Fi network's detailed settings, One UI 6 adds a password field that shows you your password when you tap the eye icon next to it. You will be asked to enter your device password or pattern before the password is shown, so it's secure. In addition, you can share the network with other Samsung Galaxy users using a share button at the bottom of the screen, next to QR code and forget. Galaxy phones have a device care section in the device settings where you can manage storage, memory, battery and spyware protection, in addition to some optimization options to keep your device smoothly. But with One UI 6, the battery section is now a separate menu accessible from the device settings. The section itself has also been redesigned. Now the battery usage has become clearer. For example, on the 27th I used 114% of the battery and my screen on time was 7 hours 9 minutes, not bad. By the way, when scrolling between days, there is some kind of crooked animation of changing days, creating an impression of a micro freeze. And finally, the Protect battery feature on Galaxy phones and tablets, which limits maximum battery charge to 85% when enabled, can be accessed more quickly on One UI 6, as it now shows up in the very first screen when you go to the battery section. Now, let's go to the security and privacy menu. Here we can see a new feature called Auto Filter Blocker. It keeps your Galaxy phone or tablet safe by blocking threats such as malicious software. Also, now One UI 6 doesn't show a scan button when you enter the security and privacy menu in the device settings, as the device is already automatically scanned every time you enter that menu. Airplane mode become a little smarter. If you turn on Wi-Fi or Bluetooth while airplane mode is on, your phone will remember. The next time you use airplane mode, Wi-Fi or Bluetooth will remain on instead of turning off. Traditionally, Samsung doesn't forget about modes and routines. Now you can set up different lock screens with their own wallpaper, clock style, app shortcuts and more for when you're driving, working, exercising and more. When you start editing the lock screen while a mode is on, you'll edit the lock screen for that mode. While some of the most useful new features and improvements can be seen in the camera app. Firstly, the camera interface has been slightly redesigned. One UI 6 lets you switch camera resolution in photo mode with a single tap. Expect on devices like the Galaxy S23 Ultra, which have a 200 megapixel camera that can shoot at 200 megapixels, 50 megapixels and 12 megapixels, in which case you will still need to tap the resolution button twice. A pop-up now appears when you tap the video size button, making it easier to see all the options and choose the right ones. Filter and face effects now use a dial instead of a slider, making it easier to make precise adjustments with just one hand. The next new feature is custom camera widgets. Now you can add custom camera widgets to your home screen. You can set each widget to start in a specific shooting mode, save pictures in an album of your choice, and select the background of the widget. Well, for example, you can set the selfie camera to shoot video in portrait mode, and now by clicking this widget, you're ready to shoot a portrait video of yourself. From the camera settings, advanced intelligence options menu, you can choose between 3 levels of quality optimization for the pictures you take. Choose maximum to get the highest quality pictures with the most post-processing. Choose minimum to reduce the amount of post-processing so you can take pictures as quickly as possible. You can also choose medium to get the best balance of speed and post-processing. The camera's Scan Documents and Text feature, which detects documents and text in the frame and can capture only the document and text and discard the rest, is now separate from Scene Optimizer and can be enabled even when Scene Optimizer is off. Moreover, a new option in the camera settings Scan Documents and Text menu, called Auto Scan, allows the camera to capture documents and text without requiring a press of the shutter button. Auto FPS can be enabled and disabled for different video frame rates. Galaxy phones come with an Auto FPS option in the camera settings that can automatically increase or decrease frame rate depending on the lighting conditions. Before One UI 6, Auto FPS could simply be enabled or disabled. On One UI 6, you can select whether Auto FPS works for 30 FPS videos or for 60 FPS videos. The camera app on gallery phones can switch between the front and rear camera when you swipe up or down on the screen, and from One UI 6 onwards you can disable the option so you can avoid accidental swipes. Now let's look at the Gallery app. Quick photo editing options shifted to detail view. Options such as portrait effect, background effect, remaster and object eraser are now accessed by opening an image in the gallery and swiping it up or tapping the eye icon at the bottom. Now access to these settings is super convenient, because before, for example, to remove an object from a photo, you have to go to editing, then press these 3 dots, and only here is the function you need. Now I'm sure many will use these tools more often. By the way, in the photo editing menu in One UI 6, some tools such as object eraser and style filters are now available from the first button in the bottom menu. On One UI 6, the photo editor has undo and redo buttons that you can tap to undo or redo the last change made to the photo. This is a basic option that Samsung somehow didn't add to One UI all these years, but it's here now. That's in addition to the revert button, which undoes all changes with a single tap. Finally, when you add text to a photo, you can choose from several new backgrounds and styles. The gallery's video editor has been renamed to Studio in One UI 6 and can be quickly accessed by opening the Gallery app, tapping the icon with 3 horizontal lines at the bottom right, and tapping the huge Go to Studio option. You can also simply search for Studio in the app drawer search bar and the app will show up in the results. Also, you can add a shortcut to Studio to the app drawer as well. The Studio itself redesigned the user interface, things have been moved around and some unnecessary options have been removed. When you open open a video in the Video Player app. For camera videos, you can do so by navigating to a video in the gallery, tapping the three-dot button and select the Open in Video Player option. You can pause it and long press on any object or area you want to save or share. With One UI 6.0, Samsung has finally upgraded the screen recording feature. Now, the built-in screen recorder can record videos at up to 120 FPS, which makes these videos look smoother when played back. We say up to 120 FPS because it seems the frame rate in screen recordings can vary depending on what is being recorded. The Share panel has received a major improvement. When you share pictures or videos from any app, preview images will appear at the top of the Share panel to give you one more chance to review the pictures and videos before sharing them. In the Share panel, you can also make edits to images, and when you share content, additional options may appear on the Share panel depending on the app you share from. For example, when you share a website from the Chrome web browser, you'll get the option to share a screenshot of the website along with the web address. Before One UI 6, dragging files or text from one app to another would require you to have both apps open at the same time in the multi-window mode. Now you can open one app, select the files you want to copy to another app, press and hold the selected files with one hand or finger, then use the other hand to open the other app and drop the selected files in there. When an app appears in your search results in the app drawer, you can touch and hold the app's icon to get quick access to actions you can perform using the app. For example, long pressing the Telegram icon will show you recent chats. When accessing the trash folder in the My Files app, you'll be able to access the trash folder for other apps such as Gallery as well. Native Samsung apps have also been updated. For example, the Weather Insights widget provides more information about your local weather conditions. You can see when severe thunderstorms, snow, rain and other events are on the forecast. The Health app home screen in One UI 6 now shows more info. There's also the option to change the size of your water cup, making it simpler to figure out how much water you've had based on your chosen cup, bottle or other vessel. One of my favorite widgets, the Smart Suggestions, has been redesigned with a layout that better aligns with other icons on your home screen. You can now adjust transparency and choose between a white or black background. You can also set apps to exclude from suggestions. To sum up, One UI can still easily be called one of the most refined Android-based interfaces. More importantly, it is the most stable interface with fewer bugs than any other scheme. Overall, in my opinion, One UI 6.0 is an evolutionary step in the right direction. It copes with its main task, not to spoil what is there. The new Quick Settings panel is generally good. The interface has been refreshed with subtle changes and a new font. One UI now seems livelier. Overall, I'm happy with the new version of One UI. I didn't meet any lags or slowdowns, with the exception of a couple of problems with animation, which I'm sure will be fixed in the next patches. Battery life is also good, so if you're a Galaxy smartphone user, I think you will like One UI 6. Guys, share this video with your friends. This is the best support for the channel. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Good luck to all.